Boxing truth here. This Manny Pacquiao Terence Crawford fight not only has money issues, but also has weight issues, which not many people are talking about. Now, in an interview with Freddie Roach on Fight Hub, Bob Arum gave him a call a couple weeks ago. He wanted to make the Terence Crawford fight next for Manny Pacquiao. In-house fight. Makes sense for Bob Arum to keep it in-house for Manny, now that Manny's in the twilight of his career. And he asked Freddie Roach what weight. And of course, Freddie Roach, looking out for his fighter in Manny, he wants to fight at a weight Crawford hasn't competed at. It doesn't think he will be as effective at compared to his journey at 140 pounds. And Arams asked him why, pretty much indicating that there is a weight issue in this fight. Terence Crawford has stated he wants to continue to campaign at 140 pounds. He's not really interested in moving up to 147 pounds. He wants to become undisputed in a division that's pretty much very weak at the moment. Nobody gives a shit about Crawford unifying with Ricky Burns in a pointless rematch. No one gives a shit about him unifying with some unknown South African guy, wherever he's from, that just iced Tryanowski. So weight is definitely an issue here, as Manny and his team want the fight to take place at 147 pounds. Manny shouldn't have to come down to 140, and that is the issue. Top Rank is trying to drain Manny to 140 to fight Terence Crawford, in order to better suit Crawford to perhaps winning that fight. Now, when it comes to the money issue, a lot of opinions, a lot of statements. Is Manny Pacquiao pricing himself out? Is Terence Crawford pricing himself out with the rumored purse, well, according to Freddie Roach, that he requested for a Manny Pacquiao fight in the range of $7 million? Well, here's my honest opinion. Is Terence Crawford worth $7 million? Hell the fuck no. I mean, based on what? 50K pay-per-view buys, bro? Who the fuck knows Terence Crawford outside of Omaha? I mean, really. This guy did trash pay-per-view numbers for a considered pound-for-pound level fighter, guys that is being pushed as the next Mayweather or whatever. It's pretty fucking sad when a freaking Kazakhstan fighter who doesn't speak great English does triple the number of pay-per-view buys, and he does it against a fucking Canadian. It's pretty sad when a Russian like Sergey Kovalev has a bigger following than you in the United States of America. And Crawford is an American fighter, being built as this media darling, American media darling, that's going to take over the torch. That's going to be the next American superstar. But Terence Crawford just doesn't have it, man. He's boring. He doesn't have a big following outside of Omaha. 50K pay-per-view buys. And he's definitely not worth $7 million. This guy is asking for more guaranteed purse money than what Timothy Bradley got in his 3 fights against Manny Pacquiao. And he's a better, more known fighter. More accomplished fighter with better wins on his resume. Way better wins on his resume compared to Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford wants a higher purse than what Marquez got in his series of fights with Manny Pacquiao. And he's a Mexican fighter with a following. A guy that actually brought something to the table in terms of his fan base and eyeballs, pay-per-view buys. Just look what the number of pay-per-view buys they did in the 3rd and 4th fights together between Pacquiao and Marquez. So, money is not only the issue here, weight is the issue. Now, when it comes to Manny Pacquiao and his team, Michael Kahn, his advisors, throwing a number out there that they want a guaranteed purse of $20 million. That's what usually Manny has been getting for his fights, except for his last one against Jesse Vargas, because the pay-per-view market wasn't there for that fight. There was no way Bob Arum can guarantee Manny that type of money, his usual $20 million guarantee for a fight against Jesse Vargas. So for that fight, Bob Arum and Manny renegotiated terms for that fight, giving Manny a much lower guarantee, but also a higher percentage in terms of upside on pay-per-view. But when it comes to Manny asking for 20 million guaranteed against Terence Crawford, my honest opinion, Manny's not worth 20 million against Terence Crawford. Why? Because the market is not there for that fight. Nobody outside of Omaha knows who the fuck Terence Crawford is. The fight won't do more than 500K buys tops. And it's impossible for Bob Arum to make a profit without losing money by guaranteeing Manny Pacquiao that type of money against a fighter who is not well known in Terence Crawford. It's just too risky. It's not worth it. Bob Arum doesn't want to lose any more millions by guaranteeing that type of money to Pacquiao when the pay-per-view B-side is not going to bring the type of following or viewership that other past Pacquiao pay-per-view opponents had. Especially now that Manny's numbers have been down ever since he got iced by Marquez back in 2012. There's only a few opponents Manny Pacquiao is worth $20 million for, and Terence Crawford is not one of them. Here are the opponents that Bob Arum can guarantee that type of purse to Manny Pacquiao: Canelo Alvarez, Floyd Mayweather rematch, a Cotto rematch, a Juan Manuel Marquez fifth fight, an Adrian Broner fight, and a Danny Garcia. That's why Arum was pursuing those fights against those PBC clients in Broner and Garcia. He was able to guarantee Manny his usual $20 million purse because those guys are more popular fighters. However, the fights didn't go down because Broner and Garcia didn't want to take a career high purse, plus a little upside in the pay-per-view. Considering that Arum has to pay $20 million guarantee to Pacquiao for those proposed fights, he can only guarantee around $4 million for Broner and Garcia. That was the biggest risk he could take. That was the highest guarantee he can give them. But he did offer those guys pay-per-view upside. But for whatever reason, they didn't want to take a fight against a legend to put their name on a higher stratosphere. And the issue with Crawford is he's not as big his name as those guys. He doesn't have a biggest following, nowhere near as biggest following as a Garcia, a Broner. And he's asking for a purse higher than what Marquez got, higher than what Bradley got. And it's just ridiculous of the purse demands, really, for both fighters when it comes to this fight. For this fight to happen, Manny has to take a lesser guarantee because Bob Arum doesn't know what the fuck type of numbers this does on pay-per-view. It could do 300,000, 400,000. Crawford just ain't that big of a name. And honestly, Arum just wants to make the fight. He's a boxing fan just like anybody else. Of course, he's going to protect his interests when it's not involving an in-house fight. So that's why they wanted to make the Broner fight. It made sense. He has a big following. He can guarantee Pacquiao $20 million, also guarantee Broner this type of money, and perhaps the fight could do more than 500,000 buys. But Broner wanted too much money, and Arum wasn't willing to risk that type of money, considering he doesn't know exactly how many pay-per-view buys Pacquiao Broner would have done. But Arum knows he can't guarantee Manny $20 million for Crawford, considering the type of numbers Crawford did when he headlined a pay-per-view, and considering nobody outside of Omaha knows who the fuck he is. And now Manny's exploring other markets because there's no pay-per-view opponents for him in America. That's why they're exploring other markets. They're trying to see what else out there, where they can make more money instead of fighting in America and only doing 300,000 pay-per-view buys. The Crawford fight is just too difficult to make because of the demands of the purses of both fighters. Also, weight is an issue. Crawford's got to move his ass up if he really wants to fight, and he has to take a more reasonable guarantee, not something that's just out of reach when it comes to his star power. $7 million, get the fuck out of here, man. So Manny's exploring other markets. Perhaps he could fight in the UK. There's opponents being considered there, where he can generate some money, considering the UK pay-per-view. Perhaps he could fight an Eddie Hearn client. Or he can go to Australia and fight Jeff Horn and fight in a big stadium where for a capacity of 50,000 people. Australian pay-per-view, international rights fees, sponsors. Manny can make some serious dough by traveling overseas. And that's what Michael Khan's and Pacquiao's team are considering. They're trying to see where they can get their biggest paydays, because this is what it's all about for Manny right now. He wants to make money, the biggest paydays possible. He's in the twilight of his career, and he's going to look for the best possible lucrative option out there. And that's even considering traveling, going outside of the United States, looking for other markets, Mexico, the Middle East. So when I hear all those countries being considered, that means there's certain opponents being considered. And I'm not 100% convinced it's only Jeff Horn and Ricky Burns being considered for Manny Pacquiao. This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.